Progress Wrestling, Chapter 49, Super Strong Style 16, 2017. That's a lot of numbers, but you know what else did a lot of numbers? This show. In my pants. What? But we got a doozy on our hands today. One of the best shows that Progress has put out so far. Its major yearly tournament is here. We got people from all over the world. We got titles on the line. We got inaugural championships being decided. It's gonna be a good time, isn't it? Hey, it's the Apron Bump Podcast.
And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started.
What's up, everybody? What the gosh darn heck is up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's got their pantaloons strapped up tight. Hopefully those suspenders are just at the tightest possible setting. Put on your beef eaters or your cabbie hats. What's the dumb cabbie hat? That's not what it's called. What is it called? What is that hat that all the British people wear? Bowler hat? And it's not a bowler hat. If I type in cabbie, it is a cabbie hat. Scally cap. But I think it is a cabbie hat also. Huh. I just pulled that right out of my ass. Speaking of pulling things out of my ass, Progress Wrestling, Chapter 49 is here, everybody. It's not just any chapter. Super Strong Style 16. Progress's yearly tournament that they established 2 years before this. So this is the third iteration of this tournament. It's a single elimination tournament spanning 3 days. I don't know. It was way too condensed the first 2 years. I think they nailed it here. So there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. We got the tournament, of course. Single elimination, like I mentioned. We got your Progress mainstays. The foundation of Progress is represented here, but you also got some people coming from overseas. We got a lot of debuts in this tournament. It's going to be a good time to talk about. But in addition to that, it's not just all tourney talk here on this episode. We got the world title on the line. Pete Dunne defending on night 3 against who? Well, I'll just let you sit there and find out for yourself. But also, we crown the first ever Progress Women's Champion. Come on, baby. Get these broads in that ring and have them tussle. You know what I'm saying? No, it was some good stuff, and it's a spark in to say a revolution feels so cliche, but no, there's some good stuff here. We'll talk a lot about women's wrestling, where we are at this point. It's mid 2017, so we're getting cooking here with WWE and all of their NXT gals being brought up, the Four Horsemen and all that. TNA been doing it. But we're still kind of in a middle period. We're still revving the engines with women's wrestling, but we'll talk more about that. Also, obviously, we'll talk about the tournament, the progression there, the eventual winner, and a couple other stuff sprinkled in here. We're gonna have a lovely time, and it's gonna be extra lovely with my guests, Callum Leslie, RJ Singh, returning to the show. Always a good time with these boys. RJ Singh, of course, UK legend on the wrestling scene, has seen it all, done it all. A Progress alumni himself. He was in a lot of the early chapters in the ring and is also a commentator currently in the timeline that I'm in. Speaking of commentator, another commentator that happens to be there, Callum Leslie, a wealth of knowledge, kind of the Mike Tenay in a lot of ways of Progress Wrestling in their commentary team. But we got 2 commentators on the show, 2 Progress alumni. How much better can it get? You know what I'm saying? So go check these guys out. All their info in the socials. If you want to give them a follow me at Apron Bump on all the social medias. Join the Discord. And if you're new to Progress, maybe you don't know anything about this company here in the UK, well, I got good news for you. Neither do I. At least outside of what I've watched. And I've watched every single chapter from chapter 1 all the way through here, chapter 49. So every single chapter has been covered with various guests, I've brought podcast hosts that have never watched Progress before. I've brought on experts in Progress. I've brought in people that have wrestled for Progress. It's a good time. It's such a cool company. It's fun to watch, this boom in Brit wrestling explode and kind of materialize in front of us. We're at a peak point in British wrestling. So it's a good time to hop on the train. And if you have not already, a link in the description if you want to check that out, or you can go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab, select Progress Wrestling, and that'll bring you to all the chronological episodes for you to listen to, watch to. It'll allow you to choose whatever app you want to listen to or watch it on. So I could do that. Binge away if you have not already. And I think I'm going to quit babbling. Let's get into this bad boy, shall we? Progress Wrestling, Chapter 49, Super Strong Style 16 from 2017. So many fucking numbers. It's so stupid. With myself and Callum Leslie and RJ Singh. Yeah, hanging in there. Love the backdrop. It's very, very adorable. I like it.
It's my quaint, very quaint English kitchen.
It's like what I picture. It's like the stereotypical as you drink your tea, I assume, right? Is that what that is? Yeah, you got some crumpets there too, huh?
Absolutely.
What are crumpets? I don't actually know what crumpets are.
They are like toasted cakes with holes in them. That's really terrible.
Okay. So like
shitty
delicious donuts, it sounds like.
All right. They are fantastic. No, actually, no, you can't. They're not as good as a donut. I'm not even going to pretend that a crumpet compares to a donut, but they are.
Right.
Crumpets are excellent.
Hell yeah. Well, you know what else is excellent? You two. Appreciate it. Because we finally made it happen, gang. We finally made it happen.
We're here.
Because we couldn't just not, talk about a 2017 wrestling tournament. We couldn't just, miss that. So glad to have you guys back on here.
Absolutely.
Progress chapter.
One of my least favorite weekends.
Well,
that's just because you agented and you fucking hated it.
I hated it. Night one, I hated it. I hated night one.
Who's hard to work with, RJ? Let's hear it.
Oh god, just wrestlers are hard to work with. A lot of them, flicking lot of them. No, I didn't. Do you know what? Actually, no. Sorry. Watching night one was enjoyable. Being part of the backstage crew, trying to organise night one was not enjoyable. It was incredibly not enjoyable. Once the show kicked off, it was really good. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. It was a good, good weekend overall.
Yeah. Were there any element, anything specifically about organizing the show that was difficult? Was it individuals, or was it just?
So I think the agenting was also quite new at the time.
Yeah, it was. The agenting wasn't established, so it wasn't an established role. There were no real guidelines at the time of I don't think the wrestlers had it properly explained to them. So the wrestlers weren't, they weren't really sure what the agent role was. It wasn't properly explained to the agents. So it just kind of was a bit of a muddle of management going, management saying to the agents, okay, we want this to happen. And the agents going to the matches and going, okay, this is what management has said. And then having to listen for 20 minutes as not each match, many matches argued against what had been asked of them, or arguing why they wanted to do what they wanted to do. And the major issue I came across is that I was given 4 matches. So Callum, remind me, 8 matches on the first day?
Yeah, 8.
4 and 4. 8 matches, 4 and 4, right? Because, 16 wrestlers. So I was given half of that. And I was like, right, can you go make sure agent, A, B, C, and D, right? All 4 matches wanted to use chairs, right? Yeah. Every single man. I was like,
fantastic.
We can't have half the tournament doing chair spots. This is no, it's gonna happen. And I think one of them, management had said, "Oh yeah, make sure they do a chair spot," because it will make that wrestler. I think it was the Travis Banks match because I think Travis.
I was about to say it's probably Travis Banks, Jimmy Havoc.
Or the Terminator spot. Yeah,
punching the chair. Right. So management were cool with that, and they were like, "That's fine. Let that happen." We're like, "Okay, not a problem." And then the other three just wanted to use the chair in different ways, which is, okay, fair enough. Each one was different. Neither was the same, but it just would have been overkill. It just would have been absolutely overkill. And I just remember one person was one match was quite crushed that they didn't get to do what they wanted to do, but kind of accepted it, and they were just like, okay, all right, no problem at all. And then just I think the other two really wanted to argue with management, and I was just like, I did actually get a direct quote from management saying, "Tell them if they do that chair spot, they will be fired on the spot. If they do that thing with the chairs, they're going to be fired."
It was Flamita, wasn't it?
I didn't word it back to them like I didn't word it back to them like that, but I did word it back to another wrestler on the card who was very close friends with them, and they then managed to sort of talk them down.
Yeah.
So that was it was just a headache. It was just a complete headache. I think we really needed the clarity of the role, and I needed a job description. I needed a proper job description with what I was doing and what was the exact roles responsibility. I think if I'd had that, it would have made it easier. To kind of, and I think as progress went on, I think that those roles became a bit more obvious. They became a bit more right. This is, you do listen to the producer, the agents. You do listen to them. You do what they've been you've been asked. And so I think eventually it got a lot smoother. So, but yeah, it wasn't of all the roles I've done in wrestling, and I think I've literally tried at least every single role in wrestling. I've done ring announcing, I've done refereeing, I've obviously wrestled, I've done commentary. That it was my least favorite. I think of all the different roles I've played, it was definitely my least favorite. But it was an experience. Put it that way.
Yeah,
you
legitimately did never do it again, right?
I never did. No. I was like,
is that when you decided to go back to wrestling?
Yeah, I was like, I'm either just going to wrestle or I'm just going to do commentary because those two, I can handle those two. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I especially if it's a new concept. It's these wrestlers are learning it for the first time. It's like, why is RJ Singh telling me what to do? Like,
absolutely,
absolutely. Even though you're obviously a veteran and you have the credibility, but yeah, it's a weird thing to just spring on them, I guess.
Yeah,
it was one of those things that the guys brought back from WWE after they started being around WWE at this time. I think we talked about as far as. I think the contract was signed at the start of this year, so but they'd been around WWE for a while at this point, and we're trying to sort of, I think quite smartly, identify what they could bring from a WWE production that would enhance the progress shows. And it's something they'd tinkered with a bit before, because I remember the previous year's Strong Style. You weren't there, Ross, I don't think. There was a list put up in the locker room of moves that were protected for certain guys. So Rampage was the only guy who was allowed to do a pile driver, for example. But I think it was the only time I ever saw that. So again, it was something that was tried. I don't know how well it worked. But they were constantly trying to improve how it was run backstage.
Yeah. But I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that kind of, let's just make sure there is some sort of structure. Let's make sure that we are not all going to hit the same insecurity spot. We're not all going to do the same dive. And I think I may have said it before, but I think every time we've come together on this podcast, the amount of sort of tope suicida dives that you get in progress is ludicrous. Like everyone just did that same through the top and middle dive. And I was like, number one, we don't need a dive per match, and number two, okay, if we are going to have a dive per match, can we start to just mix it up a little so it's not everybody doing the same dive? So I've always been, any wrestling show I'm on, I'm a big fan of just that communication between everyone on the show. Like, right, is anyone doing this particular spot? Is anyone doing this particular move? Because if you are, let's not see it 5 times before we get to the interval. Let's make sure that we can spread something out a little bit. So
the thing that always bugged me was when guys would all wear the same color of gear. I remember there was a progress show. Again, it would have been about a year and a half before this, where I think every match except the women's match, everyone wore black.
Yeah,
And,
especially when it's tag teams. Like you got to have like the separation of like which team is which to me.
Yeah.
Like I was watching a Ring of Honor show from 2004. Everyone on the card, red and black. Everyone, everyone, either basketball shorts or Chris Benoit tights. Everybody.
There's a interesting story about that. And again, I'm jumping all the way forward to Wembley now. When Doug Williams did his retirement match, I remember asking him when we did the Germany tour just before that if he had special gear made. He said, yeah, I've got special gear. It's white, because he was always wearing the blue and red at that point. He had special gear made. And then on the day, he didn't wear it. And I remember asking him, like, what happened with your white gear? And he was like, there were just too many other people in the show wearing white, so I thought I'd just stick to the blue and red. You're Doug Williams! Yeah. It's your, I mean, it wasn't, but it was supposed to be your retirement match.
Right.
Get to wear your special gear. No, it just shows that he was, a smart guy who understood that sort of thing.
You'd never catch the Midnight Express wearing the same colours as their opponents. I'll tell you. Never.
No, sir. And you would never catch them claiming to retire and then go back on it. That would never. They would never. That'd be ludicrous.
And speaking about smart and how you put matches together, that was how we ended up with the main event of night one. That was Trent Seven's idea.
I can't use a chair. Fuck it. 6 seconds. Ding, ding, ding. Whatever.
Genius.
Because the crowd has seen 7 really good wrestling matches. They don't need to see another one.
It was genius.
They're going to get to see Riddle twice more over the weekend.
Yeah, it was. Dude, it was. So this is the third Super Strong Style 16 that they've done, I believe. So the first one was 1 day, or was it 2?
The first 2 were 2 days.
2 days. And I know the second one in particular felt very cramped to me in terms of the pacing. It just felt like a lot in 2 days.
That was the first one we did live. That was the first one we did live commentary for as well. It was me and Glenn the whole weekend.
Oh, okay.
Because the first one was in the era of post-record commentary,
right?
And then 30 the second year. I got a chunk off in the second half of day 2, but yeah, it was a long show.
Yeah, I think 3 days is perfect, especially with how this was structured. Like for day 1, just tournament matches, just 8 one-on-one tournament matches. Day 2, you got the whatever quarterfinals, but you also top it off with the women's title match. And then day 3, you got, the world title, you got the semis, the finals. I thought it just flowed so well this year. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch any of it back or just based off your memories. Where do you think this Super Strong Style 16 ranks among all the ones that have happened to this point?
To this point, I think it's easily
to 2025.
Yeah,
to
2025.
to today, yeah.
So what? This is 17. 2018 was the first one at Ali Pali with Saber. That one was pretty great.
I was out again at that point.
Yeah, you were on the outs.
I'd gone again by this point.
And 2019, I think it's either this or 2018 is probably the best Strong Style.
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, 2019 was the last show I did. I think the 2018. What was the main event on night 2?
So 2017. I'm really sorry. I probably should have reminded myself. So 2017 is when Travis Banks wins.
Yeah, it's the Travis one.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, for me, I think it was. For me, I thought it was one of the best because that led into that eventually led us to Travis Banks versus Pete Dunne, where like Travis ended Pete's reign of terror, as it were, that had gone on for all that time. So I think as a lead into that as well, the kind of tournament weekend was a real strong story point because it would then go on to complete that story arc. Pete Dunne of British Strong Style, Pete Dunne on top sort of thing. It would be the culmination of that. So for me, it was one of the best. Certainly, it was one of the best ones. And like I said, even though maybe not personally enjoying the role on night 1, over the weekend I really enjoyed. I did enjoy like the entirety of the tournament over the weekend. I think it had some really strong matches and there were some really strong showings by lots of the guys in that tournament.
Yeah, no, just an excellent weekend of wrestling. I kind of want to watch back now, just see all the chair spots and just know that RJ's back there ruminating. No, yeah, just I guess to refresh. So day 1, we'll kind of just go chronologically here and touch on any major major highlights for you guys. So I'll just lay out the competitors here.
One thing, just before you do that, this is also because again, I think we talked about this last time I was on. This was an important music show.
Oh yeah,
because this was the show. Again, after signing that WWE deal, they needed to transition away from the licensed music.
Right.
So at this point, what they'd done is they'd put a call out to indie bands to say, if you want your music on the shows, send your tracks. And we got a lot of really good songs that way. Like Travis Banks' theme, Ozzy Open's eventual theme. We got a lot of really good songs from that. There was also we were peak Hot Tag Media at this point. Everybody in their Doug had a Hot Tag Media theme.
Hot Tag Media, yeah.
And then there was also other weird stuff like Jimmy on this show, because Progress and ICW were both working with WWE and we're sort of working together. We had access to the ICW music because ICW was part of the ownership of a music label in Glasgow. They were always involved with music in Glasgow, Triple G, I think it was called. So they had a bunch of songs as well. So like Jimmy's song came from that. I think Gibson's as well. But yeah, there was a lot of music changes on this show.
And the vinyls. I mean, come on now. No, I touch myself.
Yeah, and and I think because Progress was built on an atmosphere. For me, Progress was always about an atmosphere, and it was it's hard to describe unless you were there. It was a feeling. Like you sat on a Sunday in the ballroom, and there was just this kind of electric feeling that would just be building just as the show was getting ready to start. And you could just feel it. You could just feel it in the air. It was such an excitement around, all of the shows. And I think the music was a big part of that, because you knew when those recognizable songs were going to come on, you were going to just, again, that energy and that electricity would be there. And as Callum said, it just felt weird when you weren't getting that music anymore. You weren't getting those licensed tracks that we were so used to. So as Callum said, I think it really was, absolutely right, saying it was a real significant shift at that point with the music changing.
Yeah, no, I mean, like there is like some hits though. It's not like Def Rebel nowadays where everything's just a big pile of shit.
Yeah, Hot Tag Media does shit all over Def Rebel. Let's be real.
Yeah, are they still around, Hot Tag Media? Let's get them.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, I don't think they are. No.
I don't know, or even just getting local bands to sell you I don't know what the hell that works, but I mean, like the British Strong Style, the Pete Dunne music is pretty fun. It's particularly fun just hearing it over and over again and hearing the crowd get progressively more annoyed.
I remember because I spent the Friday, some of the Friday with John before the weekend, and he was choosing music for some guys, because it was either choose your music by this date or we will just choose it for you.
Right.
I remember helping him choose Zack Sabre Jr.'s music, which then ended up becoming his New Japan music. I don't know if I've said that on this before. Yeah, they ended up ripping it and changing it and making it his new. Very odd. Jeff Cobb's music, just generic Hawaiian surfer.
It just really fit. Like I get what they were going for. It's like it's this big monster.
He's from Hawaii, innit? So just surfing. And yeah, I remember him trying to find something else to do with probably Trent's music on the final day, because he was like, we're going to play that song like 6 times. That's too many. But it was good. It really did give you that feeling of like the British Strong Style dominance of the promotion at that time.
Yeah.
Especially in the second and third days. It was just that music all the time. And it was just them fucking about in their NXT tracksuits, waving their belts in your face. And it was good.
We got a lot of British Strong Style to talk about with this tournament, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, it's a huge weekend, and yeah, again, for anybody unfamiliar with this tournament, I'll just lay out the first night. This gives you all the competitors. So night 1, we got Nathan Cruz versus Jeff Cobb. Then we got Mark Haskins versus Flash Morgan Webster. Then we got Jimmy Havoc versus Travis Banks. Zack Sabre Jr. versus David Starr. Zach Gibson versus Jack Sexsmith, Tyler Bate versus Pastor William Ever, Mark Andrews versus Flamita, and Trent Seven versus Matt Riddle. Any of those stick out to you guys in particular?
Very excited for Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, I remember you being excited for Jeff Cobb.
Night 2 in particular for me, that was the match of the weekend.
The quarterfinal, with Cobb and Riddle is excellent.
Yeah.
I was a big Matanza mark, so anytime when Matt Cross turned up, I was well into that as well.
Big Son of Havoc guy. Yeah. You always say that.
Absolutely, dude.
I remember. I'm assuming. Again, my memory is so long ago. I'm assuming Mark and Flamita was a real flippy affair, but in a really cool, very awesome flippy affair. I remember that. I remember really enjoying it because I wasn't familiar with Flamita at all. I remember watching that going, oh, this guy's got some cool. This guy's got a lot of cool stuff. A big shout out, actually, massive shout out to David Francisco.
I was going to say this.
Rev Pro regular David Francisco, who also runs Purpose Wrestling in London. But he was actually backstage. So at the time, David was quite. I mean, he wasn't new to wrestling. He wrestled in Portugal, but he was kind of new to the British and London scene. But David was actually backstage as Flamita's translator. So, and obviously, they speak Portuguese, and obviously Flamita's Mexican, isn't he? I think we got that right.
Yeah.
So, but there is some slight language crossover, but it was brilliant though because
Spanish as well.
Does it? I was actually David speaks Spanish as well.
I think David speaks Spanish. I think that was the point.
It was either a muddle of the two or David speaks Spanish. But having Dave just backstage to sort of kind of support Flamita to be able to translate to everybody, and it obviously works because I think everything Flamita did went off without a hitch. So that was just really cool. I love little moments like that, like just cool moments where you get people like that. Because one of my favourite ever moments was I was backstage at a different show. Sorry, I'm going slightly off piece here. Backstage at a different show, and it was Ultimate Dragon versus Hoovy and they're just conversing in Spanish just before they go through the curtain. And I don't know why. I just think that was the coolest thing ever. Like because of course Ultimate Dragon,
classic.
Because Ultimate Dragon's and I mean Ultimate Dragon being fluent in Spanish as well as Japanese and English, so it's just it's a cool moment. So, but back to the tournament. Jeff Cobb, I'd never really seen much of Jeff Cobb before, so that was there was a lot of guys who I hadn't seen very much before. So I was kind of getting to see them for the first time, and obviously physically Cobb was he was incredible. Hell of a specimen, and he wrestled Nathan, didn't he?
Yeah.
Him and Nathan
first
the
match,
opener. And and I've always been a massive, I've always been a massive fan of Nathan. Always been a huge supporter, and obviously, very recently, people have been keeping up. He just signed as a producer for AEW, which is
congrats to him for sure.
Which is fantastic. Because earlier that year, obviously, and again, this is public knowledge. Obviously, Nathan had a bit of a crushing blow earlier in the year where he missed out on the UK tournament. He was in the original lineup, and then sort of right before the night didn't quite get medically cleared for the UK tournament. So
I didn't know that.
Really, which was a real.
He got medically cleared enough to do he did a dark tag on the second night of the first UK tournament, and it's the only time he ever worked for NXT UK, as far as I'm aware.
Which is surprising. He feels so tailor-made for WWE.
And he was, he was, and that's as RJ was saying, in the run up to this, and certainly in years before, it's hard to think of guys who were more on WWE's radar than like Nathan and Zach. Those two were the guys we were like, well, obviously at some point those two are going to go to WWE. And Nathan even did a match on NXT because he's really good friends with Cash Wheeler.
Okay.
He worked an NXT enhancement match and stuff, and I think when NXT UK happened, I think there was a lot. I certainly expected him to be in it. I remember having a really long conversation with him, a couple of shows before this, about what that had been like, and I know that was really tough for Nathan.
Yeah,
he sort of was on that path. He was on that.
Dead cert. Yeah, I would have put money on it that he would have been in WWE. Heading into that point, I really would have put money on it, and I think we were all really shocked and surprised when it didn't happen.
And famously also, Nathan had previously fallen out with Progress because he'd chosen to do a WWE tryout and extra work on the day when he was supposed to do a Progress show. So he'd been around, because that would have been that was 13, right? So that was 2014. So he'd been on WWE's radar for several years at that point.
Right. But like ultimately though, he would have just been the third. What was Zach Gibson? Rip Fowler. And Jager Reed, I think, was James Drake, and then Nathan Cruz would have been like Blade Midnight or some shit. Like, it would have been with the goofy contacts and I don't know, but no, I agree. It would have been cool to see him get a run. I guess it's never too late. I mean, he's how old is old Nathan?
Nathan's still in his 30s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he would still be mid. Nathan's about mid-30s, I think, from my recollection.
Wow, he's 35. I don't know why I assumed he was older.
Yeah, I think that was the thing as well. He was still so young. Like he was in his late 20s at that point. Was not even in his prime yet. It's funny. It is funny to look back, and you look back on all these guys who were really big in the scene, and you think, guys like Nathan would have been a dead cert. And I think we'll talk about the women's title, but like to me, from the moment I saw Jenny, I was like, well, that's a megastar. She's gonna make it, obviously, and her life took different directions. And then I think about a guy like Chris Travis, who, if Chris Travis had still been with us, he would have been a star on NXT UK. He would have been a proper pillar of that WWE UK expansion, probably.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's like I was thinking, like, as I'm watching like all this like late 2000s British wrestling, like wasted potential is a big theme that I get in the back of my head. A lot of it's, for reasons you can't control, but some are reasons you can very much control. But like Jeff Cobb, even, for example, like, yeah, he's in WWE, but is he though? Like, I'm watching him here, man. 2017 opening match, Jeff Cobb, Nathan Cruz. And I'm just watching the crowd react to this freakish, like, ability of Jeff Cobb, which almost is like taken for granted nowadays. But the way he catches Nathan Cruz, who's a pretty big guy, and is just throwing him like a baby. The Tour of the Islands is still like a pretty new move to people. And just watching the bewilderment of the things that this guy can do. Jeff Cobb, watching this, it's like, oh, sky's the limit with Jeff Cobb. And yeah, he would go have a good amount of success in Japan. And who's to say he won't, take off in WWE? But yeah, that's a guy that we need to strap a rocket to that guy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discourse online right now about particularly Pete and Tyler, and how they've spent the best part of a decade now not really doing anything with WWE.
They are Americanos. How dare you, sir? They are the Americanos.
It's not been confirmed that's
it's
a
not,
rumor. Let's not go slandering people, okay? Allegedly, you gotta put allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, allegedly.
But yeah, we're post UK tournament here. We're I suppose in the run up to the Pete Tyler takeover match. When was that?
We're right after it.
Right after it, right? So we just done that, and that was the point where I felt like, well, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate were about to take over wrestling.
Yep.
We really did have it pretty good at this point. And I remember at the time talking about the whole field, thinking like, wow, Jamie's going out round one. Because I think it was one of the issues with the build to this tournament was that I think people were pretty clear that Travis was winning. Not that it's always bad to give the fans what they expect. You don't have to swerve them for no reason, but I think it was really clear to people that Travis was the guy that was going to beat Pete quite early on, maybe a bit too early. But yeah, so when Travis is going to beat Jimmy in round one of the most iconic Progress characters, I thought Flash and Mark were both set up to be top guys in Progress and have big years, and then one of them's going out round one, and then Mark going out round one as well. It was a lot of really, really top talent that didn't really feature much in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the field now, and yeah, I guess there's no one really that could have. I guess maybe you could have done a thing with Tyler Bate because he just lost his UK title to Pete Dunne. So if they want to kind of blend the universes a little bit and have Tyler Bate go after Pete and retaliation for that, I could have seen that happen, which kind of
they were never going to do
justifies the
that.
final. Yeah, I think, but he's number 2. Like, was Pastor William Ever going to win? Was Flamita going to, like, I don't know. Yeah, no, it was.
I think a guy like Flash would have been someone that would have been interesting to win that, and could have been a top guy with that. I always thought Mark Andrews was a story they never went back to after losing the title so quickly to Jimmy.
Right.
I always thought there was you could go back.
Might
to
come
that.
back round at some point, but
Yeah. But yes, it was pretty obvious it was going to be Travis. But this was the first like really international field, because we didn't just have Americans. We had Flamita, we had someone from Liverpool, that's international, New Zealand, all these different countries, and that's what it kind of became even more so once it moved to Ali Pali. So yeah, we talked about Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb was awesome. Who else was worth talking about in night one? I thought the David Starr had a terrific debut against Zack Sabre.
Great match.
I did.
it is. I mean,
I broke all my rules on this show. I swore on commentary. I got myself in front of camera. Such a mark for myself.
terrible. I mean, it is. I mean, generally, I mean, speaking from experience as well, it is hard to have a bad match with Zack Sabre Jr. He's just that level of even if you're a so-so wrestler, Zack will get you. He will get you through that match and make a good showing.
I mean, you had a good match with him, Rev Pro, around this time period.
That was all him. that was the beginning of that. That was the beginning of that year. Actually, it was January of 2017. That was the year I pretty much worked Rev Pro every month, and that was the first match they gave me, the Long Issue versus Zack. But honestly, I've got no shame in saying it. Like, he absolutely dragged my ass through that match. You were to finish. It's just,
Well, I was watching it. I was like, "Oh, sweet! He's facing Zack. I think he was the world champion at the time." I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be pretty cool." Bell rings, arm bar right away. I was like, "Oh, is this guy gonna tap out in 2 seconds?" But no, you fought through it, and we actually went out of the match. But it ended up being a really good match.
Yeah,
the match that Zack had on night 2 with Sexsmith was really interesting. Was really interesting as well, and a really interesting example of just like how good a wrestler as a storyteller Zack Sabre is in terms of telling a story in the ring. Jumping ahead a little bit. Sexsmith.
I think from night 1 though, again, Zach Gibson putting over Sexsmith on night 1 again. Amazing. I mean, there was again. I don't think there was a match that Zach Gibson had in progress in the entire run I was there watching him that I didn't enjoy. There wasn't a single performance that I didn't think, Christ, Zach Gibson knows what he's doing. Whether it be in terms of just winding up the crowd on the mic, doing his shtick, and then I always found his ring work flawless. I really did. I don't think there was ever a match where I went, "Oh, Zack was a bit off." Then I thought everything Zack turned his hand to in progress, he made a fantastic showing of. So again, he was another one of my favourites to watch. Just because I thought everything he did was gold.
And he did an incredible job for Sexsmith in this match. Really, really worked hard to make Sexsmith look good. This was the peak of Sexsmith at this point in 2017. He was sort of the new Progress trainee guy that people had got behind on the Endeavor shows, and then had come to the main shows. Had the I remember that segment they had with the Power Trip and him and Roy, and it was like 30 minutes long. Oh, that was the time. And that was before this. The tables match, which was pretty good, and then Sexsmith coming in here was starting to get really hot with the crowd, really over with the crowd. It spoke to a lot of what the sort of subculture aspect of Progress. Progress did always have quite a good queer community around it.
Pansexual phenomenon. It's a great nickname.
Yeah. So that was fun, and obviously I got to know Jack quite well, and we were good friends, and it was emotional to see him get that big win and get that huge reaction in the ballroom, to the point where I did lose my professionalism and go and hug him on the stage. The one time I ever did anything like that to put myself over.
Hey,
it's just a testament to how well underdog characters work when you build them right. And you make them look like underdogs, and then you kind of surprise people out of nowhere with this. Okay, here's this major tournament. here's your underdog versus Zach Gibson. Zach Gibson's going to be a walkthrough on this one, and then you give the fans a nice moment of actually, oh, surprise, the underdog got it. Which then sets you up again, as you said, for night 2, and it's like, oh gosh, that against Zack Sabre Jr. Now this is a real test. And I just think, I love an underdog story in wrestling. And I think, when you find a character who fits that really well, like Sexsmith did, you can tell such good stories with it. And I think again that worked well over this weekend.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Jack Sexsmith it's a very interesting story because he came into Progress comedy act, like pure comedy act. He would come out with a gimp. He had, the Mr. Kako, which I think he still has here, but just a lot of those undertones, very comedic based. But at some point he started to shift to a more serious competitor. He wanted to be taken seriously. And that was a story that had been told in the months leading up to this. He actually had to have a play-in match to earn his way in this tournament at all. I think he beat James Drake. So he's had an arduous road to even get in the tournament, and then to face off, like you said, against Zach Gibson in this opening match. If visually, it's like, oh, Zach Gibson's gonna walk all over this guy. And obviously, a lot of the matches, Zach Gibson just various tombstones and submissions and lariats, just kicking the hell out of this poor boy. There's a moment in this match where Jack is on the outside, laid out, and the crowd lifts him up, which was such a cool visual. It showed how the crowd was with him outside of hearing them. But ultimately, Zach gets a little cocky and gets a helter skelter countered into a small package from Jack Sexsmith to get the 1, 2, 3. Nice. Maybe one of the biggest pops of the entire weekend.
Definitely would have been.
Is Sexsmith wearing emotion in the match? Is
he wearing the Ugg boots in this one? Is Sexsmith wearing the Ugg boots? Yeah,
that's my one thing.
He was always wearing the Ugg boots.
I fucking hate the Ugg boots, man. You don't wrestle in Ugg boots.
Well, it actually came about because he had either, and I can't give you that specific. He'd either been on a flight to Germany or something and done a show in Germany, and his boots had got lost. Or it's something like they were stolen, his bag was stolen or something like that. There was some way, basically, he lost his wrestling boots. They were either stolen or he'd lost them or he'd done the job. And literally, he had to go out to the nearest. It was probably one of the shops. I mean, if you've ever been into Camden, there's rows of clothing shops and shoe shops and that. And I think he literally was like, I don't have any wrestling boots. So what am I going to wrestle in? And he literally went out to the shops, found a pair of Ugg boots and went, that kind of works. So
they were almost certainly fake then as well.
Probably. Yeah, they weren't even real.
They weren't even real. If he bought them on the Camden High Street.
Absolutely.
I didn't think it could get worse.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I mean, it's something along those lines of it was a genuine, I have lost my wrestling boots, so I'm going to have to go find something to replace them with. And that's what he came up with. And furthermore, he just wrestled in the Ugg boots.
What a choice. Because, he had also the pajama pants or something. And I was like, well, he just looks like he just found some clothes and put them on, which it seems like that's what he did. So
pretty much,
that makes sense. But, I guess we'll just briefly touch on it here. Jack Sexsmith's story does come to an end on night 2, though, because he ends up getting injured in this first match. I think it was a bicep hyperextension or whatever the hell. And he goes into a match with Zack Sabre Jr., who is known to attack limbs, and was not able to get the upset there. Zack ends up, it was just kind of a slow, methodical ass kicking. After Jack did open up with an eye poke and his DDT and all that stuff, got some roll ups in, so he was able to create drama, even though he's literally in a sling wrestling.
He fully just has his arm taped to his body the whole time.
Yeah, it's not even a sling. It's just it is this tape.
Straps up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Zach then very purposefully doesn't attack it and works the legs the whole time. Because Zack Sabre Jr. doesn't need that kind of advantage. He can just grab another limb. I just thought that was.
Yeah, he ends up winning with a single leg crab. So it's not even an arm move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember loving how that match was put together as well. Jack, and they got the really good babyface promo at the start as well. Jack being like, I'm injured, so they say I shouldn't wrestle, but I'm gonna wrestle anyway.
Oh, come on.
That's
And
wrestling.
again,
Right?
I think it was a good way to kind of get around a legit problem. And it's like, oh, actually, he's legitimately hurt his bicep. We're gonna have to really rethink this. And as far as like creative ways to work around the problem, I actually think it paid off really well. I think in terms of the Jack Sexsmith character and getting him more over with the crowd, I think they nailed it spot on. So going into that.
Yeah, because it meant it took no shine off the night one win. Because even though it was going to be, he was losing to Zach, but he was also injured. So like that doesn't tell you anything about how good he is. The big takeaway was the result of night one. And the Progress did always try to use strong style to put over some of those younger talent that were coming through. The next year was the year with Sabre Jr. and Chuck Mambo in the opening round at Ali Pali. We'd had obviously Pastor was in here. I think Moser was in the previous year. TK was obviously in the previous year. They always used it as a chance to give those guys to mix it up with different people. And we saw Pastor and Tyler here had a really good short match, which again I think was very welcome. And Tyler finished him off with the most disgusting Tyler driver in the world.
It's pretty much the Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega thing, the Tiger Driver.
It's the Will Ospreay Tiger Driver, and it's disgusting.
But it was perfect. Like overall, like if you look at Tyler Bates' journey in this tournament, I thought it made sense because it's like this. First of all, bad guy Tyler Bate is just so funny. But he had like a easy match, quote unquote, early on, and then kind of set himself up to be able to win the next match, and then so him and the other finalists were on the same plane at the end of it. But that was very much welcome, like you mentioned, because we had seen so many competitive matches. You need to have a few like just it wasn't a squash, I wouldn't say, but it was a pretty definitive win, I would say.
Yeah, and it was like 6 or 7 minutes or something, and it didn't need to be any longer than that.
But not 6 seconds.
Yeah, not quite as short as the main event.
The main event, the last match of the night, Matt Riddle versus Trent Seven. Trent cuts this long promo. She did classic, shithead heel, British strong style, yada, yada, yada. Ring the bell, ding, ding, flash knee, 1, 2, 3. Matt Riddle wins.
I think the bit that got the most attention from the promo was because Matt Riddle had been talking online about Brock Lesnar and had always tried to sort of heat that up a little bit on socials. And Trent started calling Brock Lesnar his colleague, and he would speak to his colleague.
Amazing,
incredible. Yeah, this era of Trent was.
I mean, Trent his character kind of lent into the whole WWE thing, didn't it? I remember him more so than sort of Pete and Tyler. Trent's kind of character really lent into. I'm in WWE now, and I'm going to let you all know I'm in
the NXT tracksuit.
Yeah,
it's sensational. Sensational.
Yeah, that's I said earlier that was Trent's idea, and a very smart idea.
Absolutely.
We'd had 7 great wrestling matches in the build-up. They were going to get 7 more great matches tomorrow, 7 more great matches the next day. Let's do something different. And I remember for me on commentary thinking like, this is also a great example of how they could work with us to give us stories to tell. Because we talked all the way through about, Matt and I had talked about the fatigue of going over the 3 days, and like Zach and David Starr had their really long match and said, that was a really grueling match. It allowed us to set up, actually, Matt Riddle now is the favorite because he basically took no damage on night one. So he's got to be the favorite now, and he ends up going to the semifinals, and it helped us to tell that story of the tournament.
I'll tell you my one problem, though. Sorry, just because he got knocked out in 6 seconds, beaten 6 seconds. If it was just one more second, like, come on.
Gage is a man of integrity, okay? That was always going to be timed. Folks. I mean, look, I'm sure maybe they were shooting for 7. I don't know, but
they could have kayfabed it. It was 7 seconds. It could have Royal Rumbled it.
Well, you couldn't kayfabe it. That's the problem, because all the matches were timed by Gage. So Gage was sitting in the front row, like the British John Pollock, timing all the matches and tweeting the results. So that 6 seconds is legit.
He had it spot on.
Yeah, I guess.
He had it spot on. But I mean, for me, I loved it though because it obviously gave way for some really good heat on the for the remaining nights. We had some great heat. We had the Trent 6 chance, all those kind of things, which was just fantastic. I mean, you cannot buy heat like that. I think so. For me, it was again, as Callum said, those shows are exhausting. You do 8 matches, and everyone's exhausted. The wrestlers, the commentators, referees, everyone. And I think there was such a sense of relief actually when that match was done so quickly.
Right.
We were
That's
like,
what they were
yes,
cheering for. It's like, yeah, we can go home.
absolutely, yes, we're going to get out of here on time. That's all good. So, great for Trent's character as well. I think it was the perfect finish for his character to just be beaten that quickly, and made Riddle look fantastic as well. So it was, I thought it was brilliant finish to night one.
Trent was always smart enough to know what his role was, especially when Pete and Tyler were the focus of the shows, is that he could be the foil to the guy who was then going to go on and challenge Pete, and it was Trent that was fucking with Travis the most in the run up. They had the match in Manchester, which I think was a count out. I don't remember. I remember it being a very weird, making everyone happy booking decision. But yeah, Trent was very good at knowing his role in those promos. He would cut promos longer than Jim Smallman on these shows.
Cool.
It was a real competition between the two of them as to who could take up more time.
Yeah, I mean, in the way that it translated into the night 2 match with Trent, it was David Starr and Pastor William Ever versus Pete Dunne and Trent Seven, and of course, I mean, the Progress crowd, they're relentless. All of the Trent 6 chants, you lost in 6 fucking seconds or whatever. I mean, just the entire match was just them bad. Even Jim Smallman doing the intros, he was like, and Trent 7. Like they're all the gag of it made the finish worth it. And but then Trent ends up winning the match. So it's like, all right, all's well that ends well. So I thought it was perfect how they did that. I agree. Just I guess a few other things on night 1. You mentioned Mark Andrews versus Flamita earlier. It indeed was a fun flippy match. I will say though, like it wasn't like modern day flippy where it's like damn near Cirque du Soleil. It was like 2 good high flying wrestlers wrestling each other, and they're like the similar size. So watching Mark Andrews not be like just the smaller guy getting beat up, like watching him kind of wrestle in a different style, I thought it was just a fun not really a class of style, a fun blend of styles here. And Flamita gets an upset. I read it as an upset because I wasn't really familiar with Flamita.
Familiar.
I wasn't familiar. Yeah, it's a hard thing to say. It's very fast. I wasn't familiar with Flamita. But yeah, no, it was fun. And I looked up Flamita. I was like, why haven't I really seen a lot of this guy? I guess he's big in Dragon Gate. I guess that's his thing. But he's still around. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we're rich with luchadors nowadays. So
he spent some time in Ring of Honor. Him and Ray Horace and Bandito. They were sort of a trio because there was a really good match in where it was on the US tour where they did British Strong Style versus Bandito, Flamita, and Ray Horace.
That sounds fun.
Might have been Seattle. I don't remember, but it was on that Coast to Coast tour the year after this, I think. Then we're up to Wembley.
Right.
And yeah, Flamita was great. I was always a big Mark Andrews guy ever since the beginning.
Oh, he's so good.
Progress. He was probably the first guy that when I started watching Progress as a fan, I was like, that's my guy. When he had the matches with even like the second show, he has the match with Hitch. It's really, really good. And
yeah.
He's got the Scarlo Scholarship belt, him and Xander Cooper. Speaking of
Xander Cooper, I haven't heard that.
Speaking of potential guys who, Xander Cooper, blast from the Progress past. Then when he won the title, as I say, I always thought you could go back to him, and he was always such a well-rounded wrestler as well. He wasn't just a flippy guy.
No,
he was really good at the ground stuff, the British style as well, and was probably at some points I think the best underdog wrestler in the world. That's my. I mean those early matches with Will Ospreay and those
of like the very early chapters, like the first 5 or 10 chapters. Those were like the first matches where it's like, oh yeah, Progress has something here. Because Will Ospreay was pretty unknown at the time too. So I think they had like 2 or 3 matches. They had 2 matches early on, and I think they had a world title match down the road. Yeah, he's so reliable, and I think even today he's like a heel world champion somewhere. I forget what the company is.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I saw a clip of his promise. Is Mark Andrews being a dickhead here? I kind of like it.
There's a fun heel FSU reunion coming up about 2 years on in this rewatch that you'll enjoy.
Hell yeah, I like that a lot.
Mark, Mark's still in his relatively early 30s. He's same age as me. I always remember that. Yeah, he was one of my first guys. Him and Rampage were always my 2.
Right.
I thought like these are my guys that should take
Big
over
Rampage
the world.
guy.
But yeah, the Chris Hero Mark Andrews match the year before, when I think of underdog Mark Andrews performances. God, against
that was the match of the tournament for me.
Yeah, against 2016 Chris Hero, man, that was something.
Very good,
man. Awesome stuff. And just I guess the one more thing from night 1. Travis Banks, Jimmy Havoc, I think is worth discussing. I mean, I forget who was on commentary because there was a lot of commentary switches throughout the show. I don't know if you two were.
This year had the least amount of commentary switches. We started getting crazy in the next few years.
Oh no!
So me and Matt did the first day and a half, and then RJ and Glenn did the second half.
That's right.
But I also did both main events on night 2 and night 3. So it was Matt Richards who I said in our conversation was by far the best broadcaster who ever did commentary.
By far,
Progress.
By far,
Richards,
yeah. Especially of those 4 you just named, by far, it's not even close.
Yeah, right. I'd worked with Matt on the Birmingham show. We'd ended up getting thrown together, and then we worked together on this. I always really enjoyed working with Matt because he was just so good. And yeah, doing the whole first day with Matt was great, and then. As I said on commentary, we handed over to the adults, and you and Glenn seemed very unclear on what was going on. You'd just been thrown in mid-show.
Fucking Glenn.
I've been dealing with chairs up until that point.
Yeah, it was. No, the commentary was solid for sure. But yeah, Jimmy Havoc, Travis Banks. Yeah, that's my point. Somebody said, "This is." Jimmy Havoc fighting for relevancy, and it's a changing of the guard, which is ultimately what this was. It was Jimmy Havoc who was
it's probably Matt.
Probably Matt. Yeah, he's
probably Matt.
Smart, so it's probably Matt.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pretty much summarizes this perfectly. I mean, it was a fun match, like you said. They had the Terminator spot where Jimmy's throwing chairs at Travis, and he's blocking it with his forearm and whatever. But then ultimately, Jimmy goes for a Rainmaker. Travis Banks blocks it with a kick, and just like a barrage of kicks to the arms, just so brutal. And it, like transition into head stomps, and then picks him up. Kiwi Crusher, 1, 2, 3, which could be. You could argue this is an upset, but like you said, the momentum Travis had at this point, it was like, yeah, people I think weren't shocked at this result. No. But given Jimmy's was the top guy, was champion for years, and Travis Banks is. Ultimately, he's just coming off of being a tag team guy, but people love him so much. It's like you kind of ride that momentum. Well, what do you think it was that made Travis Banks so hot at this time period?
I think his ring style. He had such an intensity in his ring style.
Yeah.
I think the nickname Buzzsaw was quite well chosen. I think that that kind of gave his character that kind of credibility. So I think,
just a cool wrestler.
I think, he just came across.
Sometimes it's all you need.
Yeah. He just came across as that kind of very cool, very intense kind of wrestler. And I think that's kind of what just gravitated people towards him. He was exciting to watch. And I think that's kind of what made him the obvious choice as the kind of the next guy.
Yeah. I think I just say his in-ring style. I mean, I still remember his debut at chapter 32, I think. He comes in and hits this flying clothesline on Sexsmith, and Sexsmith takes the big Rikishi bump, and it looked amazing. And it was just like, holy shit, who's this guy? Everyone had this moment. And yeah, he was a great addition to the roster and the work rate around that time.
Mhm.
But you're right about Jimmy. It was not just that he'd been the world champion before, but like when we were on this show when we were on the podcast talking about shows a couple of months before this, he had multiple shots at Pete. The sort of year running
Right.
up to this had been because he'd had the match in January 43 that was Jimmy and Pete, I think. And then they did the 6-man with Rehabilitation X, and then they'd done the street fight in Manchester. And then we did Jimmy and Will again, and obviously Jimmy had beaten Will and the fans bring the weapons. It was a pretty precipitous drop, I think, in terms of where Jimmy was as a main character in Progress.
Yeah, there's only so much higher you can go from where he was. I mean, he was threatening to decapitate people as a heel. Like, how do you expand from that? But don't know. But yeah, it was a rightful changing of the guard here. I love that it was the first round match too. It just felt right. Anything else from night 1 before we shift on to night 2, folks?
The only other thing that I remembered, and I remember this watching Zach because he comes out wearing his Jeremy Corbyn t-shirt, is we're kind of at the height of Corbyn mania in the UK. I don't know how well this is known about in the US, but
Baron Corbin?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Baron Corbin. That's what they were all chanting at Glastonbury. Yeah, we were
That's what
at the
I thought,
height
yeah.
of Corbyn mania. I don't remember if we'd had the general election or we were in the run up to the general election this year.
We were heading towards it at that point. Yeah, the general election,
and that was the general election where Jeremy Corbyn did very well, and the Conservatives lost a majority. So Jeremy Corbyn fever was sweeping the nation, and I remember that pretty quickly after the show on night 1, Zach had to jump in a taxi and get across town to do an event with Jeremy Corbyn. So I remember him coming back to the hotel in a very nice suit, slim tie, black shirt, black suit, was looking very smart after he'd been meeting who at that point felt like maybe might have been the next Prime Minister of the UK. But that was quite a big moment for Zach's profile as well. He became very prominent as like an online activist at that time as well.
About Zack Sabre Jr., right?
Yeah, Sabre
Not
Jr.
Zach Gibson.
Not Zach Gibson. Jeremy Corbyn's
Okay, I
biggest
figured,
fan,
yeah.
Zach Gibson.
Hell yeah! Shout out Corbyn mania. But I think
it was running wild.
I mean, you couldn't. Everybody on the street here. You hear about this Jeremy Corbyn guy? I was like, nope. But yeah, no. Night 2, we have some tournament matches, but we also have the inaugural Progress Women's Title match. 2017. We're mid 2017 here, so I think in the timeline that kind of aligns when the 4 horsewomen were coming up and on the main roster, and quote unquote women's revolution was getting underway. So makes sense. Women's wrestling is hot right now. People are amped for it. In the first ever title match, it's vacant. So it was the natural progression tournament, a single elimination tournament. To get to this point, we got Toni Storm versus Laura Di Matteo versus Ginny. Should this have been Ginny?
I remember being really surprised at the time that it wasn't Ginny. And, here we are nearly 10 years later. Toni Storm's one of the best wrestlers in the goddamn world. So,
right.
This isn't to take anything away from Toni Storm.
No.
Who I think is incredible. But
Sure.
it did feel like a great opportunity because we'd done the title switch onto Pastor, but they'd obviously undone that pretty quickly because that wasn't, he wasn't quite of the caliber of guys who were holding that belt.
Right.
This felt like a really good opportunity to get behind one of their own, and it took a really long time to get that belt onto Ginny. It was pretty much a year later, right? It was the big Manchester show.
Mm.
The one big Manchester show that ever happened. The Ginny eventually won the belt, and yeah, I do. I remember saying to Ginny either night 1, night 2 when I saw her in the show, I was like, "So is it you or Laura?" Because I thought that Toni was in there to be arguably the best wrestler at that time too, but it felt like a really good opportunity to crown a homegrown talent and really say we've built something special, and it felt like Ginny had that potential. I wouldn't have necessarily expected it to be Laura. I would have very much expected it to be Ginny.
Yeah, Jenny's just so good because like my introduction to her was NXT UK, which she was very much like a kind of a gatekeeper. It felt like a lot of times in NXT UK, whereas like man, she just comes off such a star here in Progress, and I was shocked. I mean, it was a perfect heel champion to set the tone. She's a day one from when they started doing women's wrestling. I mean, all the stars were aligned, and even Toni Storm. Like Toni Storm's great, of course she is. Pretty new character though. Like this rocker thing's like relatively new. And she's only had, a couple matches. I mean, she's had a decent amount of matches, I guess, in Progress. But yeah, I think this was Jenny's match to win. I'm not going to be upset that Toni Storm is the winner because it's Toni Storm and we know what she would go on to be.
I wonder if there's also because all the other belts were on British Strong Style, there was maybe they wanted a babyface champion for a bit, which I can see.
Yeah, we got the Atlas champion.
That's the sort of thing that you would talk yourself out of.
Yeah,
you used to talk yourself out of that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think everything at that point, I think pointed towards this is Ginny's moment. This is Ginny's night. And I remember going in thinking, yeah, it should be. It really should be. But like you said, not entirely upset it was Toni, but I think Ginny winning and being the inaugural champion would have felt right.
But maybe it would have got too big a pop, though. Maybe it would have turned her babyface. That could have happened, because she was someone the Progress crowd had seen grow up on the shows. Maybe she wouldn't have been able to stay heel if they'd given her that big moment. But it definitely didn't. It didn't hit as hard when she did eventually win the belt. And I mean, she got to defend it at Wembley, so she did go on to have a great reign. But this moment did feel like this moment could have been Ginny.
Yeah, but Toni Storm can't go wrong with Toni. It was a very fun match, just triple threat. It was very chaotic, but it was very, very entertaining. They do the whole dive. I'm gonna try to crossbody you on the floor, but I missed, and now I'm in the fourth row ringside. I think there's like 2 instances of that. I think that both Ginny and Toni try to do it on Laura, but they both miss. Everybody is just back and forth in the ring, chaotic. Ginny has the gold, which by the way I love. Not brass knucks, but it's like a diamond, whatever the hell, necklace or of some sort she tries to use during this match. But Toni ends up winning with the Storm Zero. And I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on this match. I enjoyed watching this.
I thought this match was really great. The girls really showed out. I put on a great main event. The only other thing I remember was doing the commentary, and obviously my timeline is right on this, right? That TK and Dahlia just had to go back to get their visa sorted. So right. Glenn FaceTimed Dahlia Black, and Dahlia Black watched the match on FaceTime, sat in the front of the commentary desk.
That's right, I remember. And then I remember Glenn turning the camera around, and there's just Dahlia Black, tears running down her face, watching it.
And she came up with the idea for the belt.
Yeah, and it was like silly as fuck in the morning for her as well, wasn't it? Like it was really like silly at o'clock in the morning. So she was like, I don't know, 3 a.m. She's there watching this, via FaceTime, which was really lovely.
Yeah, she'd get her match at Ali Pal later in the year.
Oh really? Oh well, that makes sense given who's main eventing. I just quickly also shout out on night 3 they had a number 1 contendership match for the women's title, Kaylee Ray versus Katie Harvey. And man, Kaylee Ray is so good, dude. I think she might be the best wrestler in the company at this point.
They were both really good. Really good. I always thought Katie Harvey was great. But yeah, Kaylee, I remember seeing Kaylee work for ICW, and she was always on another level. She had basically, like, for a long time at ICW, it was just her and Carmel Jacob were the only 2 female wrestlers in Scotland.
Yeah.
Kaylee was really great. It was always great when she came into Progress. I remember after this match, because I wasn't doing commentary on this match, she came through the back and she was tired from a match, and I was able to offer her some Iron Brew, and she looked at me with great delight when I was able to give her Iron Brew in the centre of London. I always felt a bit. I always felt patriotic when the few Scottish wrestlers would come down.
Such a stereotype.
Right. I mean, Drew McIntyre. You got
He never worked for Progress, but
Drew went to OTT, I think.
he did. He never worked for Progress though.
He didn't.
That's a bummer.
No
one was the first guy, but he was gone by the time I was working the shows.
Right.
It's like Kaylee, Joe Coffey.
Joe Coffey, that's a big one. Yeah. Where is he at? The Iron Man. The Iron Man wasn't in this tournament. I think he was still doing that at this point.
I think he was not around as much at this point because we'd done. I think he'll be back at the end of this year. I think the unboxing match with Sexsmith. But he just sort of pops in and out every so often now. After that Atlas tournament, he never really got a long run in Progress.
Yeah, I guess it's not too long until he's
with him and Damo. I remember the show where you got that wasn't the show where you got kicked in the face. It was the next Manchester one.
Oh,
right.
Where they beat up Chuck and Pastor. And it looked like they were going to do them as a team, but then I think Damo got signed.
Right.
So, I always thought the Coffees in Progress would have been great, but Joe was great.
Yeah, he was perfect for that Atlas division too.
Yeah.
So with Kaylee, by the way, Kaylee Ray won that match. So we got Toni Storm versus Kaylee Ray coming up for the title, which they often alluded to because they feuded in NXT UK for that title, and they always alluded to like their early days. So it's cool to see that kind of materialize as it happened. So we got some quarterfinal matches on night 2. We got Mark Haskins versus Tyler Bate. We got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jack Sexsmith. Jeff Cobb versus Matt Riddle. Flamita versus Travis Banks. Do we just get it out of the way and talk about the best match of this goddamn weekend?
Yeah, well, we talked about the Sabre Jr. match. Yeah. I think there's the Tyler Haskins match was great. I mean, I think those two always had really good chemistry.
Very good.
They had a really good match just before the Wembley show the next year. They always got great chemistry, and I think Travis Banks and Flamita was, as you guys say, I think probably a testament to David Francisco that Flamita's matches were all great, went off without a hitch, and another strong win for Trav. But yeah, the best match, this match and the Walter Tim Thatcher match from the following January are the two best matches I called in Progress.
Really?
This match, I mean, you can hear from the commentary, this match blew my mind. It was so good. This Matt Riddle and Jeff Cobb. It was a match that we wanted to see. They knew each other very well. They were training partners. They were tag team partners. And there was so much. Again, Matt Riddle always loved to chat. So he was a guy that you could talk to as a commentator and get ideas and get background. So there was stuff in this match that we were able to point out, like Matt Riddle did a move which we'd seen him do in Progress. It was part of his regular move set, but it wasn't until Jeff Cobb pointed this out that was a move that Jeff Cobb used to do but now doesn't, and now Matt Riddle does it to him in the match. And it's all those little bits of history that we were able to add in that then collides in this insane sprint. And I did count them on commentary. I think it was 5 or 6 standing ovations from the crowd during the match.
You don't see a lot of standing ovations, period, but to have multiple during a match, come on now.
It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, and it was always bound to be good. These two have perfect styles for each other. Matt was really hot at this point, as you say. Jeff Cobb was a guy that when you saw him, you thought sky's the limit for him. He's a freak athlete, and Riddle was so popular. But some of the stuff he did here, like the huge, when Cobb throws him up and then turns him round and grabs him in the German, and just the throws and the catches and the strikes. And we also were able to keep telling the story of the knee as well. So like first right as the bell rings, Matt Riddle tries to hit the knee that he used to end the match on night 1. And then we do end the match with the knee right at the end as well. So
Mhm.
again, telling a story over the weekend.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, the feats of strength, like you mentioned, the pop up gut into a gut wrench. Like, how does he catch him and not let him touch the floor, and then throws him, and then the Matt Riddle, like that, those rolling gut wrench suplexes. Which is that what you're talking about with the move they
Yeah,
took
I think
from
so.
Jeff Cobb, which is just to be able to do it to somebody so just dense is incredible. To even get your arms around him is one thing, but to just repeatedly throw him around.
Thick man.
Thick boy. Thick boy. We got tombstones, just all the kicks and the strikes. I mean, I think this, at one point Riddle hits a tombstone, and then Jeff Cobb kicks out at one, and then Riddle hits a fisherman buster, then he kicks out at one again, then he rolls right into it. It's just like back. It's a high. There's no fat to this match. It's just boom, 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 high impact stuff, innovative stuff. There's a Canadian destroyer in here somewhere. I think Jeff Cobb takes it from Matt Riddle, or no, he does it to Matt Riddle, I think, which is just a crazy.
Maybe
visual.
both. It might have been both.
It might have been both. Yeah. Tour of the Islands, just to even see the setup was incredible, especially in 2017, in which it wasn't as popular. It was like, how is he doing that?
Tour of the Islands is so good. Such, again, means that it's a wrestler when you see him for the first time. There's at least that finisher, you're going to go, holy shit, how does that work? And I think that's always such an underrated boon as a wrestler to have that, right? Thinking about people now, like Sol Ruka, for example, you know, she's got that spectacular finisher that, you know, well, if we're gonna put on a Sol Ruka match, we know we're at least gonna get that. Tour of the Island,
yes,
particularly when he does it to someone so big and strong as Riddle. At that point was maybe like my favorite move in the world. It was just so good.
The Wrath of the Gods. Stole it from Mentanza Cuerto, by the way.
Wrath of the Gods.
Take umbrage to that. But.
He didn't just like eat his opponents though, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
This is such a diversion. There's a Simpsons episode, Trios of Horror, where Kang and Kodos are watching wrestling or some kind of combat sport. It's like, why doesn't the bigger one simply eat the smaller one?
Yeah, just sit on him at least. Get the 1, 2, 3. But Riddle probably would have bridged out of it. You know, so
that insane neck. He was so muscly.
Almost too muscly.
Yeah,
I would argue. That's why I'm not that muscly.
Oh yeah,
too
yeah,
much.
me too.
Yeah,
too much.
Yeah.
Don't look like that.
But yeah, the Tour of the Islands gets countered into the flash knee, the same one that knocked out Trent. Again, a thread throughout the weekend, and that ultimately gets Matt Riddle the win. Just like several times in the match, everybody stands up and applauds, and they're so into every move, just the pacing of it. It was very much like you know, we're just throwing bombs kind of match, but it was just perfect. The guys, both amateur wrestling kind of styles, big guy versus quicker guy. It just had all the elements to make an awesome match. And yeah, my match of the weekend for sure.
Yeah.
And that throwing bomb style, when you do it with the legitimate background that they both have and the credibility they both had, means that it does come off like a Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez type fight. Or like Don Fry Takayama, you know, those legendary brawls where, as you say, they're just throwing bombs with no real consideration for what's coming back at them. And it was, you know, it was a fireworks show. It was a PWG style match, but because of that credibility and the legitimacy of everything they did, it just hits so good.
And Jeff Cobb's still pretty new to the scene. So a lot of people might be watching him for the first time. So I think that adds a lot too. It's like you have no idea what to expect. Like, oh, this guy's throwing this guy around, but he's also doing standing shooting star presses. It's like, anything's possible here. So
is he doing that on SmackDown? I don't know.
I doubt it. And it's jeans. I don't know if he is. I'll have to tune in maybe next time if he's on the show. But yeah, anything else from night 2, gang, that caught your eye?
I mean, just as it passed, as I skipped through it, I thought, oh, it's Subculture in the opener. Flash and Mark teaming together.
Yes, that was London Riots, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a tag match against the Riots. The details of what was going on outside of the tournament are very fuzzy in my mind. But yeah, so we had the Trent and Pete versus the funny tag team, because the pastor and the Jewish wrestler.
I will say, Pastor William Evert doing like the Dragon Ball Z whoosh, and then the people in the crowd like getting knocked over is a hilarious bit. I love it.
Right. And yeah, those again really good quality in the 4 quarterfinals. We talked about it earlier. The Sabre Junior Sexsmith match was again shorter, and also very different. So again, helped with the pacing of that. Those 4 quarterfinals, because we kind of did them bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
In the middle of the show.
Yeah, and then having like the very comedy heavy tag team match right before the women's title match. Yeah, it was paced very well. I thought this whole weekend was, but yeah.
I think we talked about it going to 3 days. I remember when it got announced, there were some people like, "Oh, does that mean we'll get more wrestlers in the tournament?" And John B always being very clear, "No, this is just so we can do
strong style 16."
Well, first of all that, but also like we did this because we were going to kill someone trying to do it in 2 days. It was really, it was too much, and it's to giving the tournament room to breathe over those 3 days, the stories you can tell over 3 days, and having this other stuff going on around it just made the weekend even more important. What we'd started doing stuff after the shows. I don't remember what was this, the one where we did the quiz night in a bingo hall. We did it because we do all sorts of like go show events, Jim's podcast.
Raffles. Y'all love a raffle over there.
Raffle.
Not a British wrestling show without a raffle. You gotta have the raffle.
Maybe Jim and Glenn did like a live of the original Progress podcast at one year. Like did a night with Jimmy Havoc. That was fun. That was interesting. But there was 1 year. It might have been the next year. It might have been this year. We did a quiz night in a bingo hall, which felt very ECW.
I love that. I love the sound of that. We need more quiz shows in wrestling, I think. Throw one on SmackDown.
Speaking my language.
JC Mateo in there.
Game show era NXT would have been way better if it was quiz show era NXT.
I think they did some quizzes on that era of NXT.
I think we should put wrestlers on really hard British game shows. Like, let's see the Bloodline on Only Connect.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't know any of these, but I'm sure I know the British Baking Show. Does that count?
Yeah,
that's British.
Yeah,
The University Challenge with different colleges in the US.
Pointless.
University Challenge would be fun.
Pointless wrestlers.
There was a pointless question once on wrestling. I remember they've been several times, but there's I think it was Royal Rumble winners. And I've never felt more confident of a pointless answer in my life. You familiar with Pointless?
Right. Pointless.
Pointless is great. But you have to get the lowest scoring answer. So you have to go for the answer.
So it's like
no one would get.
The opposite of Family Feud.
Like Family Feud, right? Yeah. You ask 100 people, what is the answer to this question? What is a country with blue in its flag? And so you have to name the most obscure answer, ideally that no one said. So Royal Rumble winners, everyone said Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everyone said The Rock. I think Del Rio was one. Jim Duggan was one. Maybe Vince McMahon was one. I think people didn't get that Vince had won one, but
yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Anyway.
Interesting. No, I'm going to go check it out. I got it on my list. Pointless. And what was the other one? Only Connect?
Only Connect is like actually hard. I'm too stupid for Only Connect.
Well,
I have a friend, the best man at my wedding that you were at, Ross, Charles. He was recently on Only Connect, and they won like 3 shows. They got quite far.
Nice.
Way smarter than me.
Man.
Only Connect is one of those ones where they'll show you 4 things, and there's a connection between them, but it's really obscure, and it's about like lateral thinking, and I can't do that.
Oh, it's like what's the game you play on your phone? Connections.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar? Yeah, where it's like 4 rows and you gotta like get the 4th. It sounds like what you're describing. So I'm familiar.
But it's usually very hard.
Right.
And, like not obvious. Or academic. It's in the vein of like University Challenges for smart people.
Right. Well, I guess I won't check it out then. No. But speaking of hard. I don't know. We were just talking about Jeff Cobb. We might as well parlay that into night 3, where Mr. Jeffrey Cobb gets a little Progress World title shot against Peter Dune on night 3. I think it was like roughly halfway through the show. But man, what a breakout weekend for Jeff Cobb, huh? I mean, was this the plan? I would assume this was the plan for him to be in the world title match, but the fact that he just had such a successful tournament and then had this match, I mean, what a weekend for him, huh?
Yeah, I was always very surprised that he didn't come back. You know, I thought, well, this is the next Riddle guy, right? You know,
he never came back.
He did WrestleMania. He did shows at Mania weekend the next year in the States, New Orleans, 2018. I think he was in a Thunder Bastard match, but that was it. We never saw him again apart from that. And I remember being I was very disappointed because I fell in love with Jeff Cobb on this weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, this probably just rose his stock so much, and he was just everywhere after this.
Yeah, there's a good argument for calling him the MVP of the weekend. I think there's certainly a good case for that. Like without a doubt, he was the MVP.
Certainly outside of the 2 finalists, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
him and Riddle probably the 2.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And
I mean, a really good match on night 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, good solid match night 1, standout match on night 2, and then another great performance on night 3. I think you could put forward a very good case for him being MVP of this tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, up to this point, at least up to this point, this is probably Pete's best world title defense that he's had. Getting is just kind of like a random, not a throwaway match, but it's like nobody really thought Jeff Cobb was going to win probably, but it was still like tremendous. I mean, same things we spoke about earlier with Jeff Cobb. It's like his ability to just wow. I mean, him just like causing confusion almost in the audience. Like, how are these things possible? I mean, just the diving, like he does like a torpedo Moscow in this match with the leaping headbutt, and does like a fall away slam moonsaults in addition to all of his, greatest hit stuff. But really fun match. I love Pete, he's stepping all over the Progress belt. It's a stepping stone, and it kind of ended up being a reality, I guess. But and it's a little different when it's like, oh, this is actually just what he's doing.
Well, yeah, it's a little different when when it ended up being a stepping stone too.
Yeah. But also the new the new WWE United Kingdom champion, Pete Dunne. So now he has 2 belts. So now he's just proudly holding up the WWE belt and just kind of just like throwing the Progress belt and stepping all over it, which, it's a fun shtick, and I guess it works. But any comments on this one, on this little ditty?
No, I mean, so what we said before was just that I think, big, nice surprise for the crowd. We have Jeff Cobb coming in, title match. I just remember the chemistry was really good. I remember watching this and thinking, yeah, these two have got really good chemistry. And just played off against each other really, really well. And again, I think, just starting day 3 in a really solid way, really enjoyable match. To kick off that third night.
I was second from the top, by the way, not the opener.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Older.
We just talked
in there.
Older confused. But it was a really, all of Pete's matches were really good around him though. Again, he was another one who I just didn't think he didn't miss when it came to his matches. Even though I think retrospectively, Pete was kind of developing what would be his WWE style. Like, you saw a lot of, I don't know if formulaic's the right word, but Pete would be hitting those certain beats every match, which, when you watch WWE guys, you see how they hit those same beats, throughout their matches and things like that. And I think you could see Pete developing that, but it always just worked really well. Pete was great at doing it. So he was another one who I just thought, he has not had bad matches in this run. He's had really, really good matches throughout.
I struggle to think of a bad Pete Dunne match I've ever seen. The same with Tyler. I struggle to think of ever having seen them in a match where I'm like, yeah, that wasn't as good as I hoped it would be.
Trying to think.
We were robbed because we do the, I don't know when we might come back on this, but this is the last title defense we get before Ali Pali, because Pete was then like, I'm not just defending my title against randoms. What are you talking about? But it meant that we could then do some non-title Pete matches with Eddie and with Sexsmith. And then the one we always should have got, Pete Dunne versus RJ Singh. After he beat you up,
we never got that.
Beat me up on commentary.
He attacked Ross on commentary. He also attacked me on commentary. Let's not forget.
Oh, I mean, that we get, but
he attacked RJ on commentary, and then the show before Ali Pali. Lord, have us back on to talk about that one, because that was an interesting day of them trying to figure out on the day what the main event of the show should be. And the main event of the show should have been Pete Dunne versus RJ Singh.
Well, I think a solution is that RJ needs to get a Grande Americano mask, show up on Raw, and then when this inevitable Grande Civil War happens, you're right in there.
Right in there. Right in the mix.
That's how you get to him.
Right in the mix.
He's stuck in you.
Yeah. The man called Singh. What was the other one? There was like a third one. Oh, Sing Dongo. Sing Dongo.
Oh, God, yeah. Sing Dongo. Sing Cara did as well, didn't I?
Sing Cara.
Yeah. Have all of them come out. A couple faces of Foley.
I remember John trying to source a trampoline for you to do Sing Cara. And was not able to do it. So you had to come out and just be like, where's my trampoline?
Where's my trampoline?
I'm just trying to. Do you think you would have cleared the ropes had you had a trampoline?
God, no. I would have hit the trampoline and just hit the ropes and been back down. It would have been terrible. It would have been terrible in the best way.
You could have just had like sticks or somebody come out and like propel you over the top rope, like a cheerleader. But still no, it's never too late. We can still make that happen.
Late. Absolutely.
Yeah. But we is there anything outside of the tournament from night 3 that we want to touch on before we close out with the semis and the finals? There's a nice waste man challenge.
I was going to say we did some. Was this not the Mark Andrews saying to Roy that Triple H gave him the wrong number and didn't call him back, which was an incredible line. Dude. And fair play to Roy for being up for it as well.
Yeah,
because it was fair to say that Roy was one of the guys who was used in the tournament, but wasn't necessarily being used as much going forward. Was a good sport to take that from one of the guys who was getting flown to America all the time.
Yeah. Right. And for those unfamiliar with the Waste Man Challenge, it is Roy Johnson, Big Wavy, coming out here, and it's an open challenge, and whoever answers it has the option to either battle rap him or wrestle him. And then he lays out the challenge, and then we have, I think it's 6 guys come out. Mark Andrews comes out, then Flamita, then Flash Webster, then David Starr, then Pastor, then Jack Sexsmith. So it's like 7 guys out there, and it's like a big orgy of rap. Like everybody gets their opportunity to get a line in. The Mark Andrews one of Triple H never called you. Everybody was on the floor. Everybody in the crowd. Everybody in the ring. Flamita did the Macarena, which was something.
Flamita did the Macarena, which obviously Bandito is now doing all over television.
Is he?
Yeah.
I missed that. I need to pay attention to
the biggest pop for that team is going to be when Brody King does the Macarena.
Right.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
I hope he does it at the top of a ladder this weekend. It would be great.
The Macarena on top of I guess it's never been done.
No.
To my knowledge. I don't know. You got to be innovative somehow. Because they all rap, and then Jimmy Havoc comes out, lays them all out with chairs, just in a very he hits them all in the gut. 1, because it's 7 of them. 1, and then all 7, and then hits them all in the back, and then leaves. But then Jack Sexsmith comes out because everybody's laid out, but Jack and his sling comes out to try to get the sneaky win. But he gets a 2 count on every single person, and then runs away. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not actually wrestling." He was on commentary though. He did join the commentary team. I don't know if either of you were on there at this point.
It was you and Glenn, right?
It's probably me and Glenn. Yeah.
But who wins? Oh yeah, Flamita ends up winning with the Flam Fly to David Starr, which is a Spanish fly. But they called it the Hangover Scramble, which is sensational. I think it opened the show. It was a lighthearted way to start the show. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, because this was the first. We'd done the Wasteman Challenge the year before, just before the main event on night 2 with Eddie. Eddie too. Your mother's got a penis. Of course. But this was the first year they put it on first on day 3. Yes. And then that became the format. Was the final day would start with the Wasteman Challenge Hangover Scramble. And it would be a fast-paced, all action. It would be all the guys you had seen, and then maybe some other guys. They got pretty crazy in the next couple of years, and then sometimes they would end up being like last year, like the scramble we ended up having in 2016 for a spot back in the tournament as well, because we did have a scramble in that one.
Right. Yeah, because Haskins was knocked out, or he had to, is unable to compete. But speaking of the tourney, we got some semifinals on our hands here. So we got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Travis Banks, and we got Tyler Bate versus Matt Riddle. Both really good matches. I don't know if you guys in particular have one you'd lean towards among those two, if you remember.
I always thought Tyler and Riddle had really good chemistry. They'd had a match on the Manchester show. Maybe they'd had a match pretty recently before this, and they'd have quite a few matches over the next couple of years for Progress. And I always thought they were, again, that was a great showcase for Tyler.
Yes.
Tyler could almost have a Jeff Cobb, Matt Riddle match with Matt Riddle because of his strength. And, to see him be able to go strength for strength with a guy who looked like Matt Riddle was really impressive. So I always liked those two together. I always thought Travis and Zach had great matches too. They had a match in Fight Club Pro around this time. Yeah. They'd wrestled in Rev Pro. They were guys who were getting matched up together a lot. And just it was always nice to have Zach come back sometimes. It was, as someone who'd then gone off to Japan, he was in Noah at the start of Progress, coming out with this little Noah Junior tag belt in the garage.
That's right.
And then he ends up, top guy in New Japan, still coming back occasionally to do a little tournament for us. He was, I think, I don't know about these days, but certainly at a point he was like the most successful super strong style contender of all time. He did. He went to the final in the first year. Pulled out with injury in the second year. Third year goes to the semis, and then the fourth year wins it.
What was him and Tommaso Ciampa a super strong style match?
Yeah, that was the very first super strong style.
That's one of my favorite matches of his. That was a great one. But yeah, this match here in 2017, you can really feel the Japanese influence on Zach. When I see Zack Sabre Jr. and Travis Banks, I was like, oh, there's probably gonna be a lot of grappling in this. But it was very much a Japanese, like, let's sit in the middle of or stand in the middle of the ring, chop each other, a lot of kicks from both guys. Travis that's like his explosiveness is getting him caught in submissions. I thought it was a great story throughout this match. But Banks ends up winning after stomping out of a triangle choke and then hitting the slice of heaven for the win. So his power was able to be the difference in this one. And it was definitely another top contender for one of the best matches of the weekend, I thought.
I think, blend of styles. I mean, talking as that, you actually, this is relatively still early in his career, given the span of where he is now, but Zack Sabre's a great tournament wrestler. Like probably
the best.
Every tournament he's been in, like, the Cruiserweight Classic tournament, fantastic matches in that. The G1s he's done, all those, and then obviously these strong styles, he's always shown up really good. So I think, you put Zack Sabre in the tournament, you're going to get really quality matches. And again, as you said, I think you kind of had that Japanese. Was it Travis had been in 0-1 in his time?
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to remember if this is the time where Zach this was the year that Zach won Bola. So it's where you're talking about tournaments. I think Zach won Bola around this time as well, and was again really impressing people at Bola.
I think he won 16 Carat the year before as well. So he's all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget Okada. Zack Sabre Jr., greatest tournament wrestler of all time.
Absolutely.
Come on now. We'll send it onto Twitter and see what people think about that. But yeah, so Travis Banks moves on to the finals. Who will face him? You brought it up earlier. Tyler Bate, Matt Riddle. I don't like Tyler Bate's feet. I don't know what it is about him. They're like a little too small. They're like too clean, too small. In conjunction with his big meaty thighs and the little feet, it makes me, because Tyler Bate, he takes his boots off and his socks off to match up against barefoot Matt Riddle. And surprising, Bate, it didn't seem to slow down Bate at all. He was able to work pretty well without shoes. But yeah, outside of that,
I did not have any strong feelings about his feet.
That was my main takeaway from this weekend, personally.
Yeah.
Not a feet guy. Not to shame if anybody on here is a foot guy.
I think noticing feet that much does make you a foot guy.
Well, we could take that offline. That might be something I have to dig deep down and figure out.
We'll leave that with you to explore in your therapy sessions.
Yeah, I'll bring it up next time I go to therapy. But fun match, and it was pretty like, because Tyler obviously in British strong style, and there's a lot of interference and a lot of all of their matches, but to my recollect, there was no interference in this match. And most, if not all of this match was within the ropes. Like it was like a straight up match, which, a lot, like you said, a lot of these matches had chairs and whatever the hell, even at least like out, throw it into the crowd, whatever spot. A lot of tombstones in this match. If you brought up the sign with like only so many people can use this move earlier. Tombstone should have been on that. Everybody and their mother on this show was doing a tombstone. I was like, all right, guys. But no, really fun stuff, really fun back and forth stuff. And Tyler ends up winning with a springboard European uppercut, and then not one, but two Tyler drivers for the win. So Tyler Bate moves on to the final to face up against Travis Banks.
I think that it was really smart on this third day. As you say, Tyler, the match with Matt Riddle, he wins pretty much clean, and he's not involved in the shenanigans of British Strong Style on day 3. And then in the main event, the interference happens quite early.
They made up for it, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, it happens early, and it was only to facilitate the massive CCK pop during the main event. Yeah. But that all happens relatively early into the match, and then they do the whole rest of the match, just a straight match between the two of them. So they did a good job of not softening the heel edge of Tyler's character or losing any of that, but making him a very credible challenger to, know, because when you get to that point as well in the final, you are thinking like, maybe it is British Strong Style Civil War. Maybe that is where we're going. And certainly, Tyler looked like a killer against Pastor on night 1, the Tiger Driver.
Yeah.
Had hard-hitting matches with Haskins and Riddle. Had one of maybe the harder roads to the final and through that the quarters and semis. So yeah, it set up a really, really good final. I think this might be the best final. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to watch the Sabre Jr. Chris Hero one again, but this might be the best. And the original Will Ospreay Zack Sabre Jr. match was excellent as well. Strong Style 1, but this might be the best final.
Yeah, I remember. I think again from a storyline perspective, and I've always been a big storyline guy. This felt like a really engaging main event. I remember sort of thinking, and I think some of what I always liked about the Brogues main event, certainly from my perspective, is what a lot of the guys were very good at. Even though you said earlier, Callum, like it was pretty much given that Travis Banks was going to win. I think it's a testament that actually they could still keep you guessing throughout the match. They're like there was just enough moments of actually maybe Tyler's going to win. Oh no, Tyler's going to win. Oh no, Tyler's going to win. And I think that's a real testament to their talent. That even when you were going to get the win you thought you were going to get, they were still able to make you just give that slight bit of doubt in watching them work. That actually it could go either way. These were two young guys who were really hitting their stride, hitting their peak. So I don't think there was any doubt. There was never any doubt that that wouldn't have been a great main event. And like I say, probably one of the best wins. I think when Travis wins the match, for me, it was like one of the best wins of the of all the tournaments they've done, and certainly that one. And again, it went on to set us up as actually, yeah, Travis is going to be the next guy. He's the one who's going to dethrone Pete, in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was a great build. Like even throughout the tournament, I thought both of their paths were greatly how it progressed. Yeah, Tyler Bates' dominant early win, and then a competitive second win, and then you got Travis Banks getting kind of the passing of the torch from Jimmy Havoc early on, and then having a competitive match with a high flyer and a technician in the next matches. And man, now it just gets us to here, and there's a huge, I don't remember if there's a standing ovation, but I remember a big "This is progress" chant like at the opening bell, which just the atmosphere like before they even lock up is a testament to how well this has been built so far and how excited everybody is for these two talents who, like you said, are like at their peak at this point.
I think that really bore out the 3-day experiment. Was that by the time we got to the main event on night 3, the crowd were absolutely rabid for it. Because they
Yes.
built it up over the 3 days and they weren't exhausted like they were the previous year before the final. And it just really, that 3-day schedule really worked.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I agree. I mean, as far as quality final match, I mean, you can't get any better than this. It just I mean, it's a lot of shenanigans in this one. You had, like you said, the British strong style interference.
Because since we last came on, obviously we had the CCK debut on the show before this.
Yeah.
Which had been something that the fans had wanted for a long time. CCK were a very hot act elsewhere in the Indies.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the approach from Progress was waiting for the right time to bring them in. And obviously they came in at the Manchester show to that huge reaction. And then at this show, they had it was one of those ones where they were working elsewhere on the Saturday and Sunday. They told anyone who asked at the merch table or anything, "No, we're not there. We're not there.
Right.
We're working elsewhere, and then we're not booked, so we're not going to be there on the Monday." Which people maybe half believed, or at least maybe allowed themselves to believe. We were in that kind of era where the fans would almost play along, and we all understood that we were part of a thing. We were part of the story too, because it was that intimate small crowd atmosphere. But yeah, CCK were so over and a great addition to the Progress Tag Division, and they would go on to be a big part of certainly the next year or the rest of this year. And as I said earlier, it allowed them to have the really straight main event between two of the very best wrestlers on the roster.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have just been like, all right, where's the inevitable Pete Dunne and Trent Seven interference? So yeah, like to your point, they just got that out of the way, and now these are the only two guys we need to focus on. So yeah, it was great how they did that. But yeah, so we have all the interference in the beginning. How many refs got knocked out in this one? At least
all of them.
You're running out.
I do think we did. Yeah, we maybe did do all three and then cycle back round to Chris. In this, I think this was an all three refs are involved situation.
Yeah,
because I think I'm reading my note. I need to read my notes to even remember what happened, because it was so many different things that happened. So I think Travis Banks goes for a clothesline onto Bate, but Bate gets out of the way and Banks ends up wiping out Joel Allen. I think it was him. But then Banks hits the Kiwi Crusher on Tyler Bate, has the pin, but there's no ref. Paz is in, but it's a delay, so it's only a 2 count. Then Travis Banks goes for a slice of heaven, but then he misses and accidentally hits Paz, so he's out of there.
By the way, absolutely eats it.
Ooh, he got sliced.
Good man,
for sure. But then Banks hits it to Bate, but then there's no ref again. And then Joe Allen's back up. He makes the count. I might have these refs right. It was a blur of black and white lines.
That's fair.
I think it's at this point where British Strong Style and CCK come out.
Yeah.
Amongst all of this hullabaloo, Tyler Bate, low blow to Banks, which, by the way, we got speak about Tyler Bate and how incredible it is that he can be a hateable heel without talking. Like just his manner. He's also like a uber good guy in WWE, but you come over here in Progress, now we boo him just based off of his mannerism, just the way he walks out. He's like not even like a mean guy. He's like annoyingly like he's still doing the wave thing, but like in a sarcastic way, like in a schmarmy way. Just props. Tyler Bates so good, man. He's so good, and him coming out to Pete Dunne's music is always such a trip, but it weirdly fits.
And he hits the low blow and then the bitter end, right? Is the
yes
false finish after the interference.
There we go.
Again, you thought, oh, maybe that is where we're going, right?
Right. So many layers.
It was that was a good moment. And then they start doing teddy bear rolls, and I got very confused.
But it could have been the finish. Yeah, maybe this is
the superheated run in, and then a big near fall, and then they bring it all the way back down, which was obviously the intention, right? To build the match all the way up here and then bring it all the way down and then build it all the way back up again. But it was quite jarring to bring it all the way down to teddy bear roll 1 counts.
That's like the bridging pin, right? Where they is that what they were doing? Or they kind of like roll around and one.
A weeble.
One.
Weeble. Because weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
That's actually a really good point. I never thought of it like that.
Are weeble, did weebles crack America? This is great entertainment.
Somebody's popping out there. Somebody's enjoying it.
I popped RJ, so that's fine. I'll do.
But then they bring it back up. I mean, we got planches to the outside. That Travis Banks low suicide dive was incredible every time. More tombstones.
Why nobody else should have been doing a suicide dive except Travis.
Yeah. Again, more tombstones. Tyler Bate with one on the floor. We get the chair Terminator spot with Travis Banks blocking chairs. At some point, Travis Banks hits a double stomp to the back of Tyler Bates' head, which looked gnarly, and then like transitions right into a coast to coast crowd. I think at this point the crowd's on their feet, and given how long they've been watching the show this weekend, it's a testament to how good this match is.
Yeah, and how many really good matches they'd seen, even just that day. This was like the 4th banger of the day.
Yeah. And you've always got to walk that line really quickly of like, am I going to burn the crowd out? We've already had a load of, other bangers I've had before this main event just going to completely burn out. And the fact they could keep them and keep that energy all the way through to the very end was, again, a huge testament to the pair of them.
Yeah, no, it was really great stuff. And then the ending stretch here, they continue it. Travis goes for the slice of heaven, but gets countered with a super kick in midair from Tyler. I don't know how he got his little legs up there, but he did. And then he hits that high angle Tyler driver again, that devastating super finisher he's established, but only gets a 2 count. And then he goes for a top rope Tyler driver, but gets countered into a top rope Kiwi crusher right into the clutch submission. It's like a Gargano escape. I don't know is it a Kiwi clutch? Is that what he calls it?
Lion's clutch.
Lion's clutch. Rawr. And that gets the tap out. Very WrestleMania 20, like, oh, is he gonna tap out? And then he does. And Travis Banks gets the win, wins the tournament, and has a title shot on his hands, which he then announces he wants it at Ali Pally, which is a few months from this point. But
4.
So we got that set up, and man, you guys said it. I mean, what a win! The confetti, the streamers, great moment, great way to end the weekend. I thought.
Yeah, the black and silver confetti. It's a great touch.
Which is that a New Zealand thing? Is that their colors?
Yeah.
I was unaware.
Kiwi colors. Yeah.
Didn't know if it was an homage to Tony Storm in the future, but no, it's just the Kiwis, just the Kiwis.
It was black and silver instead of black and white, I think. So.
I gotcha. That's the difference. Over here, Kiwis are green, but I digress. But yeah, Super Strong Style 16 from the year of 2017. That brings it to a close, boys. Any other thoughts on this tournament this weekend? Anything we missed?
I was going to ask if you remembered who agented the other nights.
That's a really good question, that. I'm really struggling to recall. I really can't even remember who agented on the same day as me. Like, because there would have been some poor guy doing the other 4 matches.
Yeah.
Something in my head thought maybe Nathan did it, but maybe
I was going to say I think maybe Nathan did it on the second or third day.
That would make sense.
Yeah, did Pete must have done something.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pete now the most he's doing in WWE to an extent is producing. He was the producer for Speed.
That's right. He was producing Speed at one point, wasn't he?
I think he's also doing work for AAA.
Yeah, he's doing AAA now. With Shawn Michaels, but Pete agented a lot of Progress, both at this time and then after he left Progress when he was still based in the UK. He would agent a lot of the Progress shows, and there was like a regular crew who would do the agenting. It was generally Pete, Eddie, Lykos did it a lot when he was hurt.
Oh.
Those were kind of the main guys, I think. I don't remember who else was around, but it did become a big part of how the shows were run, and I'd say it became like a regular crew of guys, and it was again very WWE inspired in how they tried to produce the show and make sure the show had enough variety and flowed well. And I think that's what we were talking about, right? It's the semifinals going on early, and then we had some easier matches, some lighter matches, the comedy tag match. Before the women's match, the fact that the crowd were able to get so into this final, as good a crowd reaction as they got the whole weekend was a real. I think it was a real triumph how these shows were put together. It's not easy to put together a 3-day wrestling, a 3-part show, a 3-part film, if you like, over a weekend of these 3 wrestling shows and have all these different threads and all these different moments, as you say, from the beginning, like the passing of the torch with Jimmy and Travis, to all the way through the British Strong Style stuff. It was a really, really strong set of shows.
And I think, and again, I think it was a bit of a, personally, it was a bit of a turning point for me because it was kind of the beginning of the end for me. It was kind of hitting that. Sorry, look at it. Talking to my infant son who's asleep. It was kind of the beginning of the end for me because I kind of knew that obviously my daughter was born the following year, so that's kind of what started that sort of ball rolling of like, okay, so I think by the end of the year I'm probably going to be done here as well. So it was nice to kind of be in that period and around like that weekend, which was so successful, like from quality of matches standpoint, storyline standpoint, and just that we're going to do this 3 days and see how it goes. So it was a real joy to be a part of. I mean, despite what I said right at the beginning about day one, as a whole experience, it was really good. I remember really liking the T-shirt. I think it was it yellow? Were the colours yellow?
Yeah, the yellow one.
I've got the T-shirt somewhere tucked away, but I remember really liking the T-shirt for that year as well. That was my other takeaway. The T-shirt was really cool.
That was the main takeaway, right?
That was it.
Number one. Yeah.
Free T-shirt.
When did you finish up with Progress doing commentary?
It would have
when the last one you did was.
It would have been November or December, probably more likely November, because I think it was around then my wife got pregnant, so it probably would have been around that time.
It was at the same time that I stopped doing so much as well because they realised that Matt was closer to the shows and also significantly more talented. So I was sort of usurped as the backup commentator by Matt, which was always absolutely fine with me. But then I was the third guy when Ross moved on. So I don't know that we worked together that much beyond this. I think we did the next one, right? We did 50, which is the one show where I did play-by-play because we were both color and it was stupid. So I did play-by-play and it was not fun. And Glenn just did the opener and the main event. That might have been the last show that we did together.
That could have been, yeah. Might have been.
The one where I got kicked in the dick.
That's
no,
it.
Not that one. So that was 50. Yeah, you were. So we would have been on 54 together, right? The one just before Ali Pally.
Yes, that's right. Because I was gone by Ali Pally.
But you were there the show before when I got kicked in the dick.
That's it. Yeah, when we getting kicked in the dick.
Yeah, you wouldn't forget that. I'm sure you deserved it though.
Yeah.
I still show that to people all the time. I think it's really funny.
Who kicked you in the dick?
Pete.
Oh, yeah.
A sitting WWE champion at the time.
Hey, not a lot of people can say that. They got kicked in the dick by a WWE champion.
There we go.
I toot my rib like a man.
That's something. As you should. Well, that was the last time you guys worked together, but it's a pleasure having you guys work together here. Appreciate you guys making the time to come on, discuss some. At some point we finally did it. We did it. Where can everybody? I know Callum, you actively want people to not follow you. Is that still the case?
Yeah,
all right.
Please don't find me.
Yeah,
I got spotted at the. I saw Matthew from Bodgemania had tweeted that he'd walked past me at the Hydro at Dynamite, and he couldn't remember my name at the time, which is totally fine. And he turned to the guy next to him and was like, "What was the name of that Progress commentator?" And his friend said, "Who cares?" Which again is correct. That's totally. I Forbidden Door. I was like,
put that on your tombstone.
I don't wish to be perceived.
That's fair. Well, if you see Callum in the street, walk the other way, everybody. Mr. RJ, are you still? I know you just had a child, so I assume you're not out and about in the ropes. But
no. I haven't been in the ring since May. So May of this year was kind of the last show. We are currently filming this mid-September, and I am getting back in the ring in October. I've got a couple of shows in November, and then we'll see where life takes me after that. As today, so I've got a 2-month-old son now, so life is very different. So we will see how much longer I am in the ring for real this time. For real this time.
Okay. Right.
You know me. I love a comeback. So we'll go. But I would say, people can follow me. RJ Singh is King on Twitter and King RJ Singh on Instagram. But I've just very recently had a mass thing of deleting social media apps off my phone in order to spend.
I don't blame you.
In order to spend more time with my children. So you can follow me there, but I'm fairly inactive at the moment. But there is some good newborn baby content on there. So
there's a whole archive of RJ Singh tweets to enjoy, though. You could go all the way back.
Absolutely.
Into the very. I don't know how early an adopter you were, but it was big in British wrestling in the 2010s. So you were on there pretty quick, I think.
It was true, yeah.
At Bollywood Singh,
absolutely,
as it used to be.
Was before I changed it.
Why do I remember these things?
You have a free memory for that. I mean, this is great. I mean, this was the beauty of commentary with Callum, because I would just stare at him when I couldn't remember something, and he just
right.
Yeah, and I remember the most. I don't know if I said this the last time, but I remember sitting in the locker room with Will Ospreay before one of these Havoc matches. It was either the later one or the fans bring the weapons, and he and I went through and remembered the gear he'd worn at every Progress show to that point. And I think we both later discovered how autistic we were, so that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, autism is your superpower. That's the name of your biography, right?
It's not.
Oh, okay. Not yet.
It stops me from getting chores done.
Yeah.
But your bookshelf is super organized.
If it wasn't for Callum, I would still be saying SFU every time he did his
Oh man, you'll get it one of these days.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought we were. I say this because you're a very dear friend of mine. I love you very much. I always thought we were. I always thought we were the worst combination of broadcasters on that team, because we both did. Because neither of us could do play-by-play, and it just. I don't think our styles necessarily mixed that well together. But I always had a lovely time because
we always enjoyed.
You're a lovely man.
That was the main thing.
It's like if Taz and Jerry Lawler were on commentary. It's like, oh, they have their strengths, but it's not this. Kind of thing, right?
Yeah, a bit like that. It was interesting. But yeah, my job was always just to remember everything that had ever happened, which is why, like, even when I can't help it. progress, the history of it is stuck in my brain forever.
It's all in that noggin of yours, just
Which
crammed
is why,
in there.
Like, I'm correcting you on stuff when you're like reading your notes.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just-
I trust you. I trust your
I
brain
would.
over mine, over my words. All right. Well, everybody keep an eye out for El Grande Sing Kano on Monday. There's probably a better way to phrase that. We'll figure it out in post.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you to Callum and RJ for joining the program today. It was a great time with those boys, I assume. Pulling the curtain back. I'm recording this before we actually record, so for all I know, it could have just been full of racial tirades, and like RJ might have taken his shirt off and lactated all over his camera. Callum might have took his pants off and stuck a Scottish knot, God knows where. So as I sit here and talk to you right now, I don't know, but you know, you're in the future. I'm in the past. That's how things work. You know, every video you watch or every podcast you listen to, they're always in the past, as far as I know. If you have any time travel episodes or recommendations, please let me know. I'm just babbling here. I just don't want to leave you. Don't make me leave. All right, I'm gonna leave. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm still a sick boy. I'm sorry. Mwah.
Yeah.
I'm hard.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.